see your all's names on a piece of paper, it looks like a whole lot of people, but not as many as this. This is a big crowd. Big crowd.
Big crowd, they knew I was coming.
This gentleman was born in Washington, D.C. He graduated from ETSU with a Bachelor of Political Science and History. He's been married to the same woman for 41 years. He has a son named Mark, who's a teacher in North Carolina, 2 grandchildren, Abigail and Miles. He graduated from ETSU and was commissioned a lieutenant in the Army. He was in the Army for 28 years and retired a colonel. He's a park ranger since 2001, park manager for the last 2.5 years. His bucket list includes he'd like to go scuba diving off the Barrier Reef, I hope that's close, and climb the Great Teton. But his biggest wish is that he lives long enough to teach his grandchildren the love of the outdoors as much as he cares for the outdoors. Ladies and gentlemen, retired Colonel, Roan Mt Park Ranger, and my friend, Pat.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. I apologize for being late. I'm never late, as Karen just reminded you. On my way over here, as a commissioned Tennessee law enforcement officer, I was obligated to stop and render assistance for an incident on the road. It was an incident of road rage, and nobody was injured, and no damage was done to vehicles, but sometimes I'm asked why I wear a gun, because I'm a park manager. Well, I'm also a park ranger, and as a commissioned Tennessee law enforcement officer, I'm obligated to act if I see anything that requires law enforcement attention. And Tennessee park rangers, in fact, have a jurisdiction from the Mississippi River all the way to Mountain City. A lot of folks think we just have campfire talks, and creek walks, and lead hikes, but in fact we are state officers. So I apologize for being late to you all, especially to you all who have come here today. I appreciate that lengthy introduction, Karen. You know, when you get to be my age, and are introduced like that, you only hope that you don't expire before the because I too am old enough to draw Social Security. I just want you to know that. And Jacob Young, who would like to replace me as the park manager one of these days, reminds me of that almost every day. He said, Pat, you know, you could go apply if you wanted to. But I'm not quite ready. I am happy to be here, I think. And let me explain why I think that I'm happy to be here. Recently, Karen called and asked if I would acquiesce to come and speak to you all, and I said, well, yeah, I'd be glad to, but you know, one of my last assignments was at the office of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the Pentagon, and I could probably make a couple of phone calls and get you a more senior officer, perhaps a general or an admiral, to come and speak to you. And she said, well, I'll have to talk to Holly about that. Well, a few days went by, and she called me back and says, Pat, I talked to Holly, and she said that you'll be just fine. We don't need anybody important. So, I think that I'm glad to be here. Now, the First Tennessee Human Resources Agency, the corporate headquarters is where we're located right now, is the large local umbrella agency that delivers hope by administering a number of programs, including the one that I'm most familiar with and a part of, and that is the Senior Community Service Employment Program, of which you all are a part in some measure. The stated purpose of this program is to provide an opportunity for employment to garner some skills or some job skill sets, as well as provide the confidence for you to either re-enter the workforce or for some of you to enter the workforce for the first time. The ultimate goal of this entire program is to work itself out of existence. Not so that you can work for 12 months and then find another funded program under which to fall, but rather to give you the skills to go out and get a real job, a non-subsidized job. And it would make Holly very happy if, in fact, none of you were here at the next meeting, but instead were gainfully employed in a job that had not just good wages, but also benefits that we all work for. So in addition to hoping that you learn how to use a computer, Holly wants you to be out there and not to come back for for her next meeting next year. Now, with that lofty goal, it's easy for us to say, well, yeah, Pat, that's fine, but I can't do it. I'm too old. I'm too infirm. And I know the maladies of age for a number of reasons. Some, I too am old enough to draw. It's my lumbago. Gentlemen, if it's not yet, it will be your prostate. Trust me. It's my skin cancer. It's my bad knee, my knee replacement. I don't have the right clothes. I'm not smart enough. I can't because I have to take care of my grandchildren. I can't because I don't have transportation. Well, that's all negative self-talk. And one of the things that I've done in the past has been a school teacher. And Karen didn't mention this, but I had a second grade class, and I learned this from a master teacher many years ago, and that is, when a child says they can't, you don't accept it. And in the second grade class, it was real easy, and I thought it was pretty hokey initially. It's sort of corny, but I tried it, and it was very effective. And I explained to the children that whenever they said they can't, we'd stop class. The child was required to get up from their desk, walk over to the trash can, and throw "I can't" in the trash. And then I would resume class. And that happened a few times, and initially the kids thought it was funny because it's fairly disruptive initially. However, within about a month, not one child in that class ever said, "I can't." Because if you say it to yourself enough, you begin to believe it. People around you begin to believe it, and they won't give you an opportunity because they say, well, she said she can, I'm sure she won't. We won't even ask her if she wants to. So you're limiting yourself when you say, "I can't," irrespective of your age, whether you're a second grader or a senior. So accentuate the positive. And each and every one of you here has the same thing that I have, and the same thing that we aspire to, and that is experience, the big E. With second graders, I could say, listen, you can be anything that you want to be, but education is the key. And most children don't like poetry. When they found out that rhyme, they thought it was pretty cute. But education is the key when you're young, and experience is the key as we grow older. We all have experiences. Each of you has life experiences that you can bring to any employer. You may not be able to say, well, you know what, you need to hire me because I can make you a boatload of money. Maybe that's not the case. And if you're in a service organization, it's not necessarily all about money anyway. But each of you have worked. You may have had businesses of your own. Some of you have been in the military. Many of you have traveled around the world more than I have. You've raised families. You've been there, you've done that, you've got the t-shirt. Very few things rile you. So what you bring to an employer is maturity, judgment, sage advice, a work ethic, or you wouldn't be here today, as well as emotional stability. So you have a lot to be proud of, and you have a lot to take to an employer, but you need to accentuate that instead of anything that might be a limiting factor. So instead of saying, "I can't," you should say, "I can." And when you do that, you're setting an example to those around you, most of whom, in fact, will be younger. I happen to be the oldest employee at Roan Mt State Park. And I'm setting an example every single day. We all do. You set an example, whether it's a good one or a bad one. And sometimes we forget that because we say, well, I see them every day. I don't have to put on makeup. I don't have to comb my hair. I don't have to shine my shoes. Well, you're setting an example, maybe not the best one, but at your stage in life, you can set a good example by showing the benefits of a balanced life. And I've referred to this in the past as my fitness program, and it's not just physical fitness, but I refer to it as PMS, which you won't forget. It's a physical and mental spiritual fitness program, and you're never too old to start. A fitness program doesn't mean that you have to get up before dawn every morning and run 6 miles in under 36 minutes, which I did 40 years ago, frankly. But I do get out, and I do bike, and I do walk, and I do park away from the Ingalls entrance so I can walk across the parking lot, and I do take the stairs instead of the elevator. And those kinds of things will help you maintain a fitness level, maybe not the kind of fitness level you had when you were in the Marine Corps or when you were in high school, but every day that you improve yourself physically, you will improve the other components of your life without fail. Everything goes better if you feel good. You can increase your mental acuity by reading, by keeping up with what's going on around you. How many of you read the papers this morning about the elections? How many of you stayed up last night and watched the election returns? But just trying to balance all the numbers, and how many in the House, how many in the Senate, how many to take the majority, all those kinds of activities, if performed regularly and with some discipline, will in fact improve your ability to remember. You'll be able to communicate more effectively. You'll maintain a mental edge. And you're never too old to start a fitness program of some type. My wife has actually I have a little magnet on my refrigerator door. In fact, we have a lot of things on the refrigerator door. You can barely see the handle. And many of the things are photographs of my grandchildren or artwork. The latest is from Halloween that my 5-year-old grandson produced, and I felt obligated to bring home and put on the refrigerator. But we also have some magnets on the refrigerator door. And one of them says, if I had known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. It's real easy as we age to look back and say, you know what I should have done, what I could have done, and it's a waste of time. That's water under the bridge, downstream. It'll never be recovered. We should instead focus on the future. Focus on today, tomorrow, next week, and our long-term future. Now, I'm not so naive as to think that you're going to remember who spoke today. I've been to plenty of these. I've sat in these audiences. I've worked crossword puzzles while the speaker was talking. I looked at my watch. So I don't expect that you will remember who spoke today. You won't remember my name. Maybe a couple of you will. And you won't remember a lot of what I said. And that's okay. But remember this. As a member of this program, working with Holly and your job developer, today you have an opportunity. You have a chance to do what you want to do. Don't let somebody tell you you can't do it. And for goodness sakes, don't help them by saying, oh, I can't do that. Because in fact, today really is the first day of the rest of your life. And just like the Nike ad says, and it's up to you, just do it. Thank you for your attention. Rocking chair for my retirement.
Well, actually, it's a camping chair.
Oh.